Okay, guys, time to discuss a lightning rod of a subject here. Let's talk about New Jack. I've had you guys, probably because of the whole hardcore background thing, but beyond that is, I think anybody in the wrestling business gets questions about New Jacks for obvious reasons and what their take is on them. Now, we're going to do this in parts. We're going to, because New Jack did so many heinous things that is too much to cover in one video. But we're going to cover the mass transit incident by watching pieces of a great interview that Maven did with Devon, who was, of course, part of that match. But we're going to start with another one of Jack's stabbing incidents. Then when we're done with both, we'll discuss both those issues. At the end of this video, I'll give you my take, what my feeling is on New Jack, in general, or no, in specifics. But let's start with this one. Now, this is getting New Jack's take on it.
He asked me to do a match with him. He won't do hardcore. He had been doing hardcore.
All right.
Okay.
Now,
I started talking to him about the match, this, that, and the other. He didn't know what I was talking about. He didn't know what kayfabe meant. He didn't know if he was a face or a heel. He didn't know what the word color meant.
Now, immediately, though, I got to tell you, because I know what's coming, so I'm not going to say, okay, this kid got what he deserved. I can understand in that situation New Jack's annoyance with him, anger with him for even showing up, knowing absolutely nothing.
I don't give a fuck. Whatever
I get that.
That's what we're doing. I said, right on. We get in the ring. We lock up.
Now, again, I'm not excusing anything. I'm saying at this point in the story, I sympathize with New Jack. That's bullshit.
Punch me in the eye.
There you go.
He punched me in the jaw. And I grabbed him, and we hooked up. He tried to pick me up and dump me, and I had a blade, about an 8-inch blade in my pocket, in my pants, and I pulled it out, and I started stabbing him.
That's where we part ways. Listen, I get the frustration of that. I get the annoyance of that. I get the anger of that, of this guy knowing nothing about the and potatoing you right off the bat and everything. And I think he absolutely deserved to get an ass beaten. I don't think he necessarily deserved to have a blade pulled on him for it.
And they said I stabbed him 14 times, and I did not stab him 14 times. I stabbed him 9.
Oh, well, shit. That's
9.
Only 9 times.
On the tape, it was 9.
All right, maybe I'm being too harsh on New Jack here. It was only 9 times.
Well, Pop came out with the jail. He asked me, he came out of the jail. He said, if you would train me, I'll drop the charges. I said, it's done.
This part actually does make me laugh, though. This kid comes out, drop the charges. You stabbed me 9 times.
You are trained, bro. He said, you take me on the road with you? I said, done.
Done.
Came in front seat out tomorrow. Went to court, charge the drop. I got the fuck out of the floor. They ain't been back since. Fuck him.
Fuck him.
First of all, he ain't had no business being in the ring with me.
New Jack does make me laugh, no matter what you think of him.
Celebrity wrestling. You know what I'm saying?
No, he didn't belong in the ring with you.
All because you've been watching me on tape all your life. Would I do it again? Yeah, I'd do it again. I'll stab the shit out of somebody else again if that shit happened to me again in the ring. Do I feel bad about stabbing him? No. Should he have died? Yeah. I'm glad he didn't, but it is what it is. That's what happened. I take my job very serious.
Okay, again, now here's where he's off the rails. Listen, most all of us in the business take it really serious. But let's be fair. What you have to make your own personal decision on right here is this kid shows up unprepared, totally unprepared, and disrespectful. Is that worth stabbing him to the point where he clearly could have died? I'm gonna go out on a limb and say no, it wasn't worth that. Now, New Jack could fight. Was he one of the legendary tough guys in wrestling? No. Could he have beat this kid up? Yeah, I'm sure he could have beat the shit out of him if he wanted to. That would have been a more appropriate response.
What's going through your head when something like that's going on?
Run, nigga,
run! He still makes me laugh, though.
Crank the car up and get the hell out. Bruh, I was thinking 95 North. or 10 West. I just want to get the hell out.
Jesus
Other than
Christ,
listening to that
Jack.
knife slide in and out of his flesh, it didn't bother me one bit. I was sticking the shit out of him. And each time it made the same noise. Hope I got bond money.
Is that an adrenaline rush to you?
As sick as it may sound, no, it's more funny to me.
See, now that's, again, there's no doubt he's demented. Now, I'm going to be fair to New Jack again. We're about to watch video of the mass transit incident, okay? So I can sit here and say he went overboard. That's ridiculous. You're stabbing somebody because they were unprepared, and I stand by it. I'll say, right, most of you know about the mass transit incident, and we'll click over that one right now. Remember, and it'll be covered in here, this kid's dad was in the crowd. If that were my son, regardless of the circumstances of the match, and New Jack pulled a blade out on him and was slicing him up like that, I goddamn guarantee you I would have found a weapon, I would have jumped that rail, and I would have done whatever I could to New Jack. And I absolutely, now we're talking about my son, not myself, this happening to my son, I would have been in the same position he is. Whatever happened, I'm not going to say that I don't care. I don't want to get this video taken off YouTube. I don't care what happened to New Jack at that point. So to say we couldn't all be in that place would be wrong. It's just, I would justify mine with saying I'm protecting my child as opposed to justifying his by saying, well, the kid wasn't very well trained. Let's go right to the real story of the mass transit incident from Maven. Maven's channel. Now we're just gonna watch bits and pieces of this.
Pro wrestler named Mass Transit was severely injured at a show in Massachusetts.
Ivan, I encourage you guys to watch this entire video. We're just gonna take snippets of it. I want you to go watch from Maven's channel. I have a lot of respect for Maven and what he does with these videos. He's really good. I enjoy the guy a lot. This is fascinating. It's a 27-minute video. Well worth the watch, but we'll hit the key moments of it in here.
Hi, my tag team partner was Axel Rotten. Axel Rotten.
Guys, remember Axel Rotten?
Passed away, so he couldn't make it to the show. And they said, "Well, we have a kid that might be able to fill in." And when he came in, he looked like to me, and I think that was his gimmick, was Ralph Cramden from the Honeymooners.
That's what I thought the first time I saw the whole thing from this mass transit incident, being an old guy. And that's the first thing I thought too was Ralph Cramden. But that's how this kid ends up in there, is Axel couldn't make it.
Down, they introduced me to him, and I just remember New Jack coming over and sitting down, and I just remember right before he sat down, I go, "Oh, please, kid, don't say anything bad. Please
have respect,
and
kid.
He's like,
Make
"Hey,
sure you know
doing?
locker room etiquette."
So, listen, I had this idea. And I would like
Not the way to start a conversation.
And the minute he said that, I knew it was going to from there.
You're new to the business. Who was the veteran in that match?
The gangsters.
Okay.
Was New Jack and Mustafa.
Gotcha.
They had been all up and down Smoky Mountain territory.
And I'm sure most of you guys are aware. Listen, when I go into a locker room, I'll give you a good example. I used to love working Jimmy Snuka when he was working the Independents. We just had a good time in the ring, and I just love being in there with him. That said, I think I worked maybe 3 times. Each time, and now I'd been in the business, for well over 20 years at the time. Whenever Jimmy would come in, if I go into that locker room, and every time I was always there early, when Jimmy would come in, if I was working him, I would make a beeline over to him, greet him, say, "Hey, Jimmy, how you doing? Really good to see you again. We're working tonight, so, whenever you're ready, let me know. We'll get together and we'll put our shit together." That's because I owed him that respect. He's the veteran in the business. I'm this compared to his this, and we're not talking only personal sizes. He's huge in the business. That's how you approach that. It's just a respect thing. I not owe him that respect. I want to give him that much respect. I don't go over to Jimmy and say, Jimmy, I got our match all put together. I'll tell you everything you're going to be doing. That's what this mass transit kid thinks he's going to do. And the truth is, with Jimmy and a lot of the the big names that come through the indies, Jimmy would tell me pretty much every time, "Oh, brother, just beat the fuck out of me and tell me when it's time to do the Superfly," because it's easier to just take a beating than it is anything else. And that's what Jimmy would do.
Let's do it.
All right, here we go. Yeah.
Him telling the fans to kiss his
Trying to
ass
get a little
getting
heat.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you guys were the heels in this match?
Yes.
Yeah.
The heels.
Gotcha.
Well,
The gangsters were the baby faces.
I was just going to say, New Jack was, from what I remember, babyface a lot of the time. That's bizarre when you think about it, I guess, but not really in the world of wrestling.
I'm not thinking anything. I'm thinking everything is good.
Make sure we know when things go off the rails.
Absolutely.
I think you're going to know when things go off the rails. I get what he's saying, though, what he's asking. Oh! Now that's nice and snug.
You see the crutch across Mass Transit's back. Are we still on script here?
We're still on script here.
I was going to say, that's normal
At
hardcore
this
work
point,
right there.
I'm outside the ring, I believe. And I was told to stay outside the ring.
By Jack.
By New Jack.
By Jack.
By
I
Jack.
just want to know the
That
moment
should have been-
Mass Transit realizes that he's in for more than he signed up for.
When New Jack, and I'm sure Devon knew, when New Jack tells Devon just stay on the outside, that's a harbinger of bad things to come for our boy Mass Transit.
And he's about to hit him in the head. I think this is where he realized
When he picks up what?
a toaster.
A toaster? Nice,
Picked up the
nice.
toaster and he
I got to
realized
admit, I've never worked a toaster.
So we see a toaster, we see a crutch, we see a trash can.
Crutch,
These are
trash cans, all
they're
that,
legit.
plenty of times.
They're real.
Oh,
What's he thinking? What's going on in his mind?
that had to
I'm
feel
gonna probably
great.
think that I think I picked the wrong match to get involved with.
But
Is he thinking, Jack, this isn't what I told Jack we were doing?
yeah.
Not what Jack said he was going to do.
I didn't lay this out to Jack at all.
I think that Jack was a little disturbed with him.
Oh, I think
by
Jack was
just
definitely
because of
probably
what
disturbed with
happened
him
in the beginning.
for approaching him like that.
Assuming that Jack cared.
Yeah, I don't
what
think there's
he
any
wanted to
doubt
get in the
Jack was
match.
mad at him.
Gotcha.
And here's what happened.
Okay.
Uh-oh. There's the
Explain to me what
there's
we're
the
watching.
opening.
Well, he's got it's almost like a knife tied to a piece of wood.
Prison shank,
that he
basically.
probably duct taped on
Okay.
there. And now he's actually taking it,
So this is a homemade weapon from
a
Jack.
homemade weapon.
Homemade.
It's like he's taking it and digging it in and then starting to go all across his forehead.
And what people don't realize is
Okay, come on. And again, the kid shouldn't have been in there. He shouldn't even be working yet. He doesn't even understand the basics of locker room etiquette. Does that mean that he should get just opened up like, basically like a can opener? Probably not. There are ways to address that without threatening his life. And I know a lot of people, and this always strikes me as a little bit odd, a lot of people think that Jack was a badass because he was willing to do these things. And if that's your opinion, that's fine. But really, you don't have to be that much of a badass to pull a weapon on somebody in a situation where they certainly don't expect you to have a weapon. It just makes him nuts, which is honestly, it's too bad that's his legacy, I think, because he was, as far as hardcore wrestling goes, he was a hell of a worker, but he was batshit. As I said, we're about to tie this up. When we tie it up, I'll give you my thoughts on New Jack, and in a future video, we can break down the whole Gypsy Joe thing.
I surely didn't know what was happening.
his father was at
Yeah,
this
that's
match, wasn't
that's
he?
what I'm saying.
The match,
If I'm at that
and,
match,
he didn't start screaming.
And that's my
about
kid?
his son.
You know what? Tell me when he starts. Tell me when.
I would have snapped. And again, okay, New Jack's crazy. We all have that level of craziness. Whatever I could have gotten my hands on, and I can't get specific because YouTube is very sensitive. Whatever I could have gotten my hand on, I would have used against New Jack and felt no remorse about it if that was my son.
If you notice, he feels
Damn.
his forehead, looks down, sees the blood.
Yeah.
I don't think he realized.
We are all familiar with the mass transit incident. That gives you the whole basis of it. I'm not going to show more of this because I really want to have people go. If you haven't seen it, I want people to go watch Maven's video on this because it is just so well done. And without me speaking over it or anything, just go watch that. Of course, the link will be in the description. But basically what we're doing here is I'm answering the question, what do I think about New Jack? Because I get asked that all the time. All right, let's break it down. As a wrestler, would I have worked him? Sure. Only because New Jack could work. I mean, the vast majority of his matches, fortunately, didn't end up with somebody's life on the line. He was stiff. He was snug. I've worked with lots of guys who were stiff, who were snug. That was my thing, too. I liked doing the violent, hardcore stuff. I liked working snug. If I had worked New Jack, would I be much more aware of everything going on within the match the whole time than I might otherwise be? Absolutely. Would I be much more aware than I would with people that I completely trust to work properly? Of course. But here's the thing. New Jack, in each of these instances, he feels he had a reason to go off like he did. And in each of these instances, he did have a reason to be pissed. That said, how does this differ? Suppose, let me just give you this scenario. Suppose somebody like me who, one of the reasons I would work him is I'm comfortable in my ability to work, to put on a good match, and to understand the society of wrestling and to do things the right way. Let's just say I'm working New Jack. And during the match, which is easy enough to believe, it's a hardcore match, I get concussed at some point. Take a bad bump, whatever, get a hard head snap. I've had a bunch of concussions. Sometimes they leave you for a significant amount of time really unable to focus with no idea where you are or what's going on. That's happened in the ring. It's happened in wrestling many, many times. What you hope for in that situation, if you've been concussed and you're on some sort of autopilot, you don't know what's going on. You hope that the guy in there with you will take notice of that and protect you. Typically speaking, what you'll do is, if you see somebody that's obviously gone and you're in there working with them, you get to the finish. It's like, okay, we're taking this home. And whatever you have to improvise, you do so you can get him out of there and get him help. That's what you hope for. If that happens with New Jack, is he going to be that worker that says, oh, man, this dude just took a bad one. I'm going to get him out of here. Or is New Jack going to be, well, this guy's not respecting me anymore. He's not selling my shit. I'm going to stab him 14 times. No, I'm going to stab him 9 times. That's my concern. Because that's where I think New Jack, well, one of the many places I think New Jack was totally off the wall. Now, would I book New Jack if I was a booker? Absolutely 100% no. Absolutely not. Simply because if he does decide while he's booked on your show, if he decides that's the night he's going to go too far and somebody dies, you're going to be paying for that as the booker of the show, as the promoter, for the rest of your life. Because you're going to get sued, and it's going to be successful because the guy has a history. They could prove easily in court where you should have known that there was a reasonable risk of something like that happening. And I'm not going to risk being a pauper for the rest of my life and not being able to provide properly for my family for the rest of my life to have New Jack on my show. That's the hard, cold facts of the situation. He could make it to where your life has been ruined in more ways than one. So if you want a capsulization, what do I think of New Jack? I think he was most of the time fun to watch. He was the type of wrestler outside of the extreme situations, the type of wrestler I enjoyed watching the type of wrestler I looked up to, the type of guy I would have liked to have been in there with. But I don't think slicing people open to that degree, almost to the point of death, and stabbing people in the ring because of disrespect, I don't think that makes you a tough guy. I think it just makes you a psycho bully. So he's not, and I'm not going to shit on New Jack. It is what it is. That's who he was. So I don't know exactly what to give you as my take on him. I don't hate New Jack, but I don't have a lot of respect for a lot of the things he did, and I find that unfortunate because under normal conditions, as a wrestler, as a worker, I really had a lot of admiration for him and would have loved to have been in the ring with him. So, I don't know. It's really weird scales to try and balance with New Jack. Like and respect him. Also kind of hate him at times.